The village of Dablo is located in northern Mossi country in Burkina Faso, about an hour's drive north of the city of Quaeda. It is a small, poor, rural village at the end of a long, dusty road. While the standard of living in the capital, Ouagadougou, has increased dramatically over the past 30 years, with new streets, neighborhoods, tall steel and glass buildings, good water and electricity, Dablo has experienced almost none of these improvements. The population of Dablo is quite diverse. 2/3 of the people are Mossi, the largest ethnic group in Burkina Faso. The rest of the population are Fulani, or Pul. The Mossi neighborhoods include families of farmers, teachers, merchants, and most important, of smiths. All of the smiths live in one large neighborhood on the west side of town, and all of the smiths are named Bamogo. They are all members of the important Bamogo Smith clan, one of 2 or 3 large Smith clans among the Mossi. Because of their numbers, cohesiveness, and importance to the local economy, the Bamogo clan dominates the life of the village of Dablo. In every village in West Africa, the blacksmith neighborhood is always the most interesting. People are always busy here, making pottery or forging iron, fashioning weapons or tools, or carving masks to use in religious celebrations. When other people in the village are taking a nap, there is always the sound of clanging metal as smiths work at their forge in the Smith neighborhood. There is always something interesting and creative to see, and Africans being as they are, I always feel welcome. Both Bamogo women and men work very hard. The men smelt and forge iron and carve wood. Bamogo women grind millet, cook, tend their children, spin cotton thread, and make pottery. Throughout Burkina Faso and across Africa, it is very common for smiths to forge iron and for their wives to make pottery. Both tasks require the removal of materials from the ground and their transformation using fire. These activities give smith families a great deal of magical power, which they use for the benefit of their families, clans, and communities. In addition to ironwork and pottery, the smiths grow millet, sorghum, cotton, indigo, peanuts, and sesame. In the distant past, they were not farmers. They earned their livings only by making iron. But after independence in 1960, the revived cash economy in Burkina Faso forced them to grow their own food rather than to trade iron for it. They grind both millet and sorghum into flour to make tow, or sagabo, the porridge that is the staple of the Mossi diet. Mossi women also use sorghum to brew millet beer, called ram, or dolo. Zenabu Bamogo has organized all of the women of the family to grind the millet on stone grindstones to cook a very large batch of sagabo for the great feast that they will have this evening. In Dablo, as in much of Africa, people enjoy working together, and they chat and sing to make the work go more quickly. One of the most senior of Bamogo women is named Winniesega. She is an expert at spinning cotton thread, which she then gives to a local weaver to weave into homespun cloth. She holds the distaff in her left hand and the drop spindle in her right hand. The spindle has a small round clay whorl at the end to give it momentum as it spins. She dips her fingers in dry ash as she spins to make them snap and spin the spindle rapidly. She stretches the raw cotton from the distaff to the spindle, then spins it into twisted thread. The technique is very, very ancient and exceedingly difficult. and only the oldest, most skilled women can make fine, even thread. Another of the Bamogo women, also named Zenabu, is a skilled potter. She works in a small space in her courtyard, where she can make a jar and then wash her hands to tend her children or cook, or do any of the hundreds of tasks Mossi women perform every day. First, she kneads the earthen red clay with ground potsherds, or grog, which decrease the shrinkage of the clay body during firing. She is going to make a large jar, so she kneads up a large mass of fresh clay. She then places the fresh clay in a shallow spherical depression in the floor of her workshop. This depression will serve as a mold for the new jar. She pounds the fresh clay with a small mallet she holds in her right hand. Her next-door neighbor, whose name is also Zenabu, helps with this large jar by supporting the walls. As the jar grows, it quickly fills the mold. They use a bit of fresh dry clay to keep the clay body from sticking to the mold. Zenabu forms large, thick sausages of clay, which she will add to the rim to increase the height of the pot. She then uses her mallet to shape this fresh clay into a sphere. Finally, the jar is large and thin enough to add the rim. She kneads fresh clay with dried donkey manure, which will add strength during the forming process. She adds a thick coil of clay to the rim of the jar. She scrapes the fresh clay smooth with a round wooden tool and a large piece of shell, and smooths it with a wet cloth. Zenabu and several of her neighbors carry 6 large jars to the firing area just west of the neighborhood. They place the jars at the bottom of a shallow depression and cover them first with dried donkey and cow manure, and then with pieces of broken pottery from earlier firings. There is a visiting white lady in the background. Winniesega helps Zenabu and the other ladies offer prayers for success. Zenabu lights the fuel with a bunch of millet stalks. The fire burns for about 45 minutes, reducing the fuel to a blanket of hot ash. Later that afternoon, the women return to remove the 6 beautiful pots. They will use these for cooking and for brewing beer. Zenabu poses with the excellent results of the firing. She is wearing her best clothes, so I can take her photo. The Bamogo clan always welcomes friends to their village with a performance of the Wiskoamba. They especially enjoy welcoming my daughter Megan with a lively, rather ribald dance. Everyone thinks this is quite funny. Perform acrobatic dances, sometimes with young members of the troupe balancing on the shoulders of more senior dancers. This is a dance troupe of men who wear distinctive costumes that, at least in part, mimic female dress. The head ties of red and white with black doves are only otherwise worn by Mossi women. Almost every large Mossi town has a group of Wiskoamba, and many of these troupes perform in competitions in Ouagadougou or Bobo Dioulasso for public festivals. If you spend much time in Africa, you discover that women do much of the heavy work, and that they are often the center of cultural activities. The most interesting of Mossi women's dances is called kiriba, and requires two women to greet each other, then to bump hips twice, at which point the first dancer is replaced by a third, and the whole process continues until every woman in the group has performed. Here the Bamogo women perform in March 2007 to welcome my daughter Megan and me. Here is an illustration of the kiriba that the French explorer Louis Banger saw in southern Mossi country in 1887. Before the iron smelting can begin, the elder smiths consult a local diviner called a baga to see if the smelting will be successful. The baga is one of two in Dablo, both members of the Sawadogo clan. The Sawadogos are descended from the first families that settled in the region centuries ago, and they serve as earth priests and diviners. The baga wears a leather and cowrie shell costume with a bird's head. As he is seated on an overturned mortar, the spirits suddenly overcome the Baga and take possession of his body. He staggers and his grandson supports him under his arms. His son and both grandsons support his arms as the spirits take control of his body. The possession dance of the Baga is a harbinger of the success or failure of the undertaking. As he dances, he sings and speaks to members of the audience. The chief musician is his interpreter, and the Baga is assisted by his son, in white with a conical Mossi hat, and his grandsons, in green and red. The Baga sings with the voice of the spirits. As he dances, he plays a rhythm on 4 ancient iron gongs, of the type African peoples have used for at least 2,000 years. Here you can see the mass of magical power objects that give the Baga his ability to speak with the voice of the spirits. Two of my friends, Zenabu Bamogo in green and Noaga Bamogo in blue, offer prayers and dashes of millet beer for the blessings of the spirits.
So they're naming every Baga who ever lived in this area, because the man who's in charge, Mr. Sawadogo, is the chief of all of the Burkinabes.
A large mass of power objects, which the French like to call fetishes, are placed on the ground near the Baga, and the elders sacrifice a chicken and a goat. The blood of the offerings nourishes the spirits, and the chicken and goat are cooked to nourish the elders. As always, the chicken must expire on its back to show that the offering has been accepted by the spirits. The technique, of course, is to pin the chicken on its back and declare it to be deceased. The prognosis for this goat is poor. I am afraid a chicken and a goat were badly injured during the filming of this sequence. The next day, the Bamogo smiths walk out to a ridge of iron deposits west of the village to dig for iron ore. Zaksoba, in the striped cap, supervises. His name, Zaksoba, means head of the household, and reflects the fact that he is always in charge of all community activities. One of the smiths carries a basket of ore back to the smith neighborhood. Back home, the elders Noaga, Razinga, and Zaksoba supervise the preparation of the furnace. They seal up the front with fresh clay where the tuyères, or air tubes, will be inserted. Razinga in brown closes the furnace with clay. Zaksoba in white lights the fire with flint and steel. Zaksoba uses tinder of kapok seed fiber mixed with oil and can usually start a fire on the first try. Noaga in blue will offer sacrifices. His name, Noaga, means chicken, because he takes responsibility for all sacrifices and prayers. They preheat the furnace so that it will draw well. The Bamogos used to smelt iron continuously, but when the French arrived, they soon brought trucks and automobiles. The French liked to smash these at 120 kilometers an hour into the giant mahogany trees that line the roads of Burkina Faso, and these wrecks have provided all the smiths in Burkina Faso with ample iron free of charge. Smelting became almost a lost art until recently, when they began to do it again to benefit scholarly research. They attach the tuyères and the bellows and tie the hides over the bellows. The Bamogo women arrive carrying 20 jars of millet beer. It will be a pleasant afternoon of serious art historical research for Megan and me and for the elders. Noaga offers dashes of millet beer to the spirits to ask for their blessings. The man holding the chicken in the right foreground is my friend Pierre Bamogo. Another chicken makes the ultimate sacrifice for the good of the project. Zaksoba adds ore and charcoal to the furnace. There are pebbles of limestone mixed with the ore, which serve as a flux to lower the melting temperature. Smelting iron is simple. Only two things are needed: high heat and iron ore. The Bamogos dig the iron ore near the village and mix it with a little limestone as flux. The heat is produced by high-quality charcoal made of very hard wood, and lots of oxygen pumped into the furnace with a bellows. An abundance of oxygen brings the charcoal to a high temperature. The iron melts and forms a rough, spongy puddle at the bottom of the furnace. The smiths then pull this from the glowing coals and pound it into useful weapons and tools. Finally, toward mid-afternoon, the ore has melted to form a bloom of hot iron that they can fashion into tools. The smelting has been a success. The next morning, the smiths fashion the new iron into two small blacksmith tools, a hammer and tongs, which they give to me as a gift. Model smith tools such as these are very powerful magic, which the owner can wield to battle his enemies and the forces of darkness. Many magicians attempt to purchase them, but very few ever succeed. Two men hammer, while a third works the bellows. The tongs consist of 3 parts, 2 handles and jaws, held together by a rivet. Here, the rivet is driven through the hole to hold the jaws together, and the rivet is flattened out. It should be easy to see why I enjoy Africa so much. I enjoy small villages like Dablo, where people are busy being creative. They work hard and they overcome great disadvantages of poverty, disease, lack of resources, and remoteness to create things that are both useful and interesting. Whether they're arts or sculpture, dance, music, or forging iron, they devote a great deal of thought and energy to their creations. I've been fascinated by their work for almost 4 decades. We live in a world where tools come in packages on a shelf, and we purchase our food in a box or frozen. My friends in Dablo must use their imaginations and creative energy to solve difficult problems that we can solve by going to the hardware store. 20 years ago, the charismatic and revolutionary chief of state, Thomas Sankara, said, "Tout homme doit libérer son génie créateur," or every person must free his creative spirit. Every day in Dablo and thousands of villages like it across Africa, we can see creative Africans giving freedom to their creative spirit.